it was hard for me to tell at first. When I came onto the campus, I did not have much contact with the surrounding community. Over the 2 years that I was here, I think I had a series of not nice encounters with some faculty members, some staff administration members. I had positive, supportive interaction with the custodial staff who came to greet me shortly after I moved into the dormitory and to tell me how proud they were of me and how anything that they could do to support me. They were very anxious to do that. Through the 2 years, I eventually made some friends among the students on my floor. Not many others in the school. I would say in general the students were distant, not necessarily unkind, but there were some warm people who reached out to me who lived in my dormitory, and that was much, still is, much appreciated. Well, I do remember one teacher who I can't remember the name. I can't say I can remember exactly the subject matter. Who shook me like a little baby in front of the classroom, which I thought was a little over the top. I remember feeling that I was, one of my sort of hobbies, if you will, was dance. I'd taken dance classes and danced in little, recitals, etc., all through elementary and high school. I remember being rejected by the dance club. The rejection was simply that I wasn't good enough. So I, of course, slouched away trying to parse in my mind really what that was about. Maybe I wasn't good enough. Maybe the kind of dance education that we had on our side of town wasn't nearly as good as this. Or maybe they didn't want me performing with them because of what reactions would be in communities, and who knows. But it was sort of one thing that was, to me, very, very special to me, about me. And, I was rejected. Series of things. I had some, I think, very regrettable encounters with the dean of students, the dean at that time of students. So what I would say is that it was a profoundly lonely experience, and one where I had no sounding boards that I could have confidence in. Of course, my mother was very supportive. She was my mother, after all. But this is not a situation that she had ever been in. My mother spent her whole life very, great distance from white people. Myself, I would say until 2 years, maybe 1.5 years, before I came to Agnes, I never really had a conversation with a white person. And so my mother I could only use her as a sounding board to help me test and evaluate what I was feeling and the feedback I was getting here, only to a very limited degree. I remember some of the traditions, if you will, during the orientation period of the first year. that also led to a lot of awkward situations in that, I suppose to try to generate friendships quickly. Orientation week was peppered, if you will, with a lot of mixers, I think they called it then, where the first-year class from Georgia Tech would come over and there'd be activities with the first-year class here. And one of the ways that they try to get the ice to break is that they would pair a boy from Georgia Tech with a girl from here just for the evening of whatever. And that always turned out to be very awkward because as the pairing off was being assigned and it would get close to, and the guys would see that one of them was about to be paired off with me, it's one of those situations where ugly comments were being made and they would josh around in ways, oh, no, I'm not going to, It was just very awkward, hurtful, that there were a lot of things like that were not thought through in terms of what they would mean with someone different on campus. I would say that until about the year 2000, let me say, maybe 2001, I felt that I had spent 2 years in isolation and profound loneliness, and it meant nothing. That it didn't mean anything to my community. I was heralded, when I was chosen, but after that, there was silence. That there was that it didn't mean anything here. I had been here for 2 years. After all, it wasn't like next year I'd broken open the doors, and next year there were 20 students who came. For 2 years I was alone, and I had no idea that Aetna was coming. So for decades, there was a long time before I even told friends, new friends and acquaintances as my life went on, that I had been here, or that this had happened. What was there to mention? I didn't. So it was at best a blank, at worst 2 years of feeling that I had done something that was totally irrelevant. And then just by total accident, I bumped into, if you will, a student at Agnes Scott, a black student at Agnes Scott. A mutual friend introduced us in Washington, and she came to my office to see me. And, it was sort of like, first of all, you're black, you're at Agnes Scott, And she said to me, we knew there was somebody that was first, but we never knew anything about you. Didn't know who you were, didn't know your name, what had happened to you. And, she said that they really appreciated it. And that and this day, has created some real meaning for me in having done this.